I died on my 28th birthday, choking on champagne at my sister's wedding reception. The irony wasn't lost on me, even as my vision blurred and my lungs burned. Claire, radiant in the Vera Wang gown I'd somehow paid for on my teacher's salary, didn't notice me collapse behind the gift table. She was too busy laughing with her new husband, Marcus. My Marcus, the man I'd loved since college, the man I'd been forced to give up 5 years ago because my family decided he wasn't good enough for me but was perfect for Claire. As the world went dark, my last thought was that I'd wasted my entire life being their doormat. Then I woke up in my childhood bedroom, 23 years old again, with my phone buzzing on the nightstand. The date on the screen made my heart stop. March 15th, 5 years earlier. The day before everything fell apart. My hand shook as I scrolled through my messages. There it was, the text from Marcus. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. I have something important to ask you. I knew what that something was. In my original timeline, Marcus had planned to propose. He'd saved it for months to buy a ring, had reservations at our favorite restaurant, had his whole heartfelt speech prepared. He never got to give it, because tomorrow my mother would call me home for an emergency. My father would be waiting with that disappointed look that had controlled me my whole life. And Claire, sweet, beautiful Claire, who'd just been dumped by her boyfriend, would be crying in the living room. They'd tell me Marcus wasn't good enough, that he was just a struggling app developer with no prospects, that my sister needed him more. She was fragile. She'd always been fragile, and I was strong enough to sacrifice for her. And like an idiot, I'd done it. I'd broken Marcus's heart at that restaurant before he could even pull out the ring. I'd told him I didn't love him anymore, that I wanted different things. I'd watched his face crumble and forced myself not to cry until I got home. Claire had comforted me that night, stroking my hair while I sobbed. "You did the right thing," she'd whispered. "He'll be better for me anyway. I need someone stable." 6 months later, they were dating. A year after that, engaged. And I'd smiled through it all, playing the supportive sister, dying a little more inside each day. The app Marcus had been developing, the one my parents had mocked as a pipe dream, it sold to Google 3 years later for $1.2 billion. By then, he and Claire were married. I'd watched from the second row as they exchanged vows, wearing a bridesmaid dress in a color that washed me out. Claire had insisted on that specific shade of yellow. Marcus had looked at her the way he used to look at me. I'd thought I would eventually move on, find someone else, but my family had other ideas. Every man I dated was somehow never quite right. Too ambitious. He might take me away from them. Not ambitious enough. I deserved better, they said, while simultaneously ensuring I stayed single and available to babysit Claire's future children. I'd become the live-in aunt, the perpetual third wheel, the family ATM machine. My teacher's salary went to their emergencies, their wants, their dreams. And when I finally got sick, really sick, they'd been too busy with Claire's wedding preparations to take me to my appointments. By the time someone noticed I couldn't stop coughing, the cancer had spread too far. I'd died alone in a hospital room while my family danced at Claire's reception. But now, staring at that text from Marcus, I had a choice. I could let it all happen again, or I could burn their plans to ash. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother. "Family meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Don't be late." In the original timeline, I'd canceled my date with Marcus for this meeting. I'd prioritized them, the way I always had. My fingers moved before I could second-guess myself. "Sorry, Mom, I have plans I can't cancel." Her response came in seconds. "This is important. Claire needs us." "Then you'll handle it. I'm busy." I turned off my phone before she could call. Then I texted Marcus. "Tomorrow can't come soon enough. I love you." 3 dots appeared immediately, then, "I love you too. You're going to love what I have planned." I smiled, really smiled, for the first time since waking up in this second chance. They'd forced me to break up with him for her sake. This time, I was keeping him for mine. The restaurant was exactly as I remembered: soft lighting, intimate tables, the smell of garlic and wine. Marcus was already there when I arrived, and the sight of him made my chest ache. God, I'd forgotten how young he looked, how hopeful. The stress lines that had appeared in later years after dealing with Claire's constant demands and my family's manipulation hadn't formed yet. His eyes were clear and bright as he stood to greet me. "You look beautiful," he said, kissing my cheek. I'd worn the red dress this time, not the conservative blue one my mother had convinced me to wear before. The red one that Marcus had once said made me look like a goddess. You look nervous, I teased, though my heart was hammering. He laughed, running a hand through his dark hair. Is it that obvious? We ordered wine, made small talk, but I could see him working up to something. His hand kept going to his jacket pocket. I knew I should let him do this at his own pace, but I'd wasted 5 years in my first life. I wasn't wasting another second. Marcus, I said, reaching across the table to take his hand. Before you say whatever you're planning to say, I need to tell you something. He looked surprised but nodded. Okay. My family is going to try to break us up. His expression shifted to confusion. What? Why? Tomorrow, my mother is going to tell me you're not good enough for me. That you'll never amount to anything with your little app, project. She's going to say I should focus on finding someone more established. Marcus's jaw tightened. And what did you say? I told her I was busy and turned off my phone. I squeezed his hand. I need you to know right now that I choose you. Whatever they say, whatever they do, I choose you. Always. Something fierce and protective flashed in his eyes. They can try. I leaned forward. I know your app is going to be huge, Marcus. I believe in you in a way they never will. And I need you to trust me when I say that my family is going to get a lot worse before they get better. They're going to use my sister against me. They're going to manipulate and guilt and gaslight. Are you ready for that? He was quiet, Omatse, for a long moment, studying my face. How do you know all this? I couldn't tell him the truth. Not yet. Because I know them. And I know that they see me as someone who exists to make their lives easier, not someone who deserves my own happiness. Marcus pulled his hand away, and for a horrible second I thought I'd miscalculated. Then he stood up and moved to my side of the table, kneeling down, right there in the middle of the restaurant. Then let's make it official, he said, pulling out a small velvet box. Let's show them you're not theirs to control anymore. Marry me. My eyes filled with tears, real ones, not the bitter ones I'd cried in my first timeline. Yes, God, yes. The ring slid onto my finger perfectly. The other diners applauded. Marcus kissed me like we were the only two people in the world, and I felt, for the first time in 6 years, like I could breathe. My phone had 37 missed calls when I turned it back on that night. 20 from my mother, 10 from my father, 7 from Claire. The voicemails were a symphony of escalation. The first few were concerned. Where are you? We need to talk about something important. Then annoyed. This is incredibly selfish. Your sister needs you. Finally, angry. If you don't call back in the next hour, don't bother coming home. I saved them all. I had a feeling I'd need evidence later. Then I called my mother back. She answered on the first ring. Where have you been? Do you have any idea how worried we've been? On a date with Marcus. Silence, then honest. We need to talk about Marcus. No, we don't. I looked down at the ring on my finger, letting it catch the light. But I do need to tell you something. We're engaged. The explosion was immediate and spectacular. You're what? You can't be serious. You barely know him. We've been dating for 2 years, Mom. He's a nobody. He's got no job, no prospects. He's an app developer with a brilliant product that's about to change everything. I kept my voice calm, channeling all the rage from my first life into ice-cold certainty. And I'm marrying him whether you approve or not. You're being incredibly selfish. What about Claire? There it was, right on schedule. What about her? She just went through a terrible breakup. She's devastated. She needs her sister right now, and you're off getting engaged like her feelings don't matter? In my first life, this is where I'd crumbled. Claire's feelings had always mattered more than mine. Claire's 25 years old, I said. She'll have other boyfriends. She'll survive. How can you be so cruel? My mother's voice took on that martyred tone I knew so well. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? By throwing your life away on some startup bro who'll probably be bankrupt in a year? He won't be. You don't know that. I do, actually. I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. And when his app sells for more money than you've ever dreamed of, I'll remember this conversation. If you marry him, you're not welcome in this house anymore. My heart should have been racing. In my first life, this threat would have destroyed me. But I'd already lived through losing them. I'd already learned that their love was conditional, transactional. I'd already died without them noticing. Then I guess I'll start packing. I hung up before she could respond. Marcus helped me move out the next day. We packed my entire life into his beat-up Honda Civic in 3 trips. That's how little I'd been allowed to accumulate. Most of my paycheck had always gone to family emergencies. My father stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching without helping. "You're making a mistake," he said, as I carried out the last box. "I made a mistake once," I replied. "I'm not making it again." "What's that supposed to mean?" I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw what I'd been too blind to see in my first life. He wasn't concerned about my happiness. He was worried about losing his safety net. The daughter who'd always said yes, always helped out, always put herself last. "It means I'm done being your backup plan." Claire came running out as we were loading the car. She'd been crying, her eyes were red, her face blotchy. She'd perfected this look over the years, the wounded bird, the fragile flower. "Please," she said, grabbing my arm. "Please don't do this. Don't leave me." "I'm not leaving you. I'm moving in with my fiancé." "But I need you. Jason broke up with me and I don't know what to do, and you'll figure it out." I gently removed her hand from my arm. "You're stronger than you think." "But you're my sister." "Exactly. Your sister. Not your mother, not your therapist, not your emotional support animal." I softened my voice slightly. "Claire, I love you, but I can't set myself on fire to keep you warm anymore." She stared at me like I'd slapped her. In our entire lives, I'd never said no to her. "You've changed," she whispered. "Yeah," I said, getting into Marcus's car. I have." As we drove away, I saw them all standing in the driveway. My mother with her arms around Claire, my father looking stern and disappointed. The perfect family portrait with the scapegoat edited out. I didn't look back. Marcus's apartment was small but felt like a palace compared to the prison I'd escaped. We celebrated my freedom with cheap champagne and cheaper pizza sprawled on his secondhand couch. "Are you okay?" he asked, running his fingers through my hair. "I'm perfect." "You just walked away from your entire family." "I walked away from people who saw me as a tool, not a person." I turned to look at him. "I have you. That's enough." He kissed my forehead. "I'm going to make you so happy. I promise." "I know you will. And I'm going to prove your parents wrong. This app," he gestured to his laptop on the coffee table, "it's going to work. I know everyone thinks I'm crazy, but the technology is sound, the market research is solid. I just need 6 months," I said quietly. He blinked. "What?" "You need 6 months to finalize the beta, 3 months to build a user base, and then Google is going to notice." I sat up, looking him in the eyes. "I know this sounds insane, but I need you to trust me. Don't take any other job offers in the meantime, no matter how good they sound. Stay the course." "How do you know?" "Call it intuition." I couldn't tell him about the rebirth. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I have a really good feeling about this. Marcus searched my face, then slowly nodded. "Okay. I trust you." Those 3 words meant everything. The silence from my family lasted exactly 2 weeks. Then the texts started, from Claire. I miss you. Can we get coffee? From my mother. We may have overreacted. Let's talk. From my father. Your mother's birthday is coming up. It would mean a lot if you came to dinner. I knew these tactics. The love bombing, the guilt trips, the slow erosion of boundaries. In my first life, I'd caved within a month. I deleted every message without responding. Marcus noticed but didn't push. He was busy with the app, working 16-hour days, surviving on coffee and determination. I worked my teaching job during the day and helped him test features at night. We were broke and exhausted and happier than I'd ever been. 3 months in, Claire showed up at my school. She was waiting by my car when I left for the day, looking small and sad in a way that used to make me cave instantly. We need to talk, she said. I'm busy. Please, 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I unlocked the car. Get in. She slid into the passenger seat, and for a moment, we just sat there in silence. I'm sorry, she finally said, for everything. For how Mom and Dad treated you. For how I treated you. In my first life, I'd never gotten this apology. This was new. Okay, I said carefully. I didn't realize how much I'd been taking advantage of you until you were gone. She twisted her hands in her lap. You were always just there, fixing things, solving problems. I never had to learn how to take care of myself because you did it for me. And now I'm trying to figure it out. And it's hard. She looked at me with genuine tears in her eyes. But I understand why you left. I do. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. What do you want, Claire? I want my sister back. She reached for my hand, but not the sister who does everything for me. Just my sister. Can we start over? This was the moment. In my first life, this conversation never happened because I'd already sacrificed everything. But here now, I had a choice. I could hold on to my anger, let it poison me, or I could set a boundary and see if she respected it. We can try, I said slowly. But things are different now. I'm with Marcus, I'm not coming back home, and I'm not going to drop everything when you call. I know. And if Mom and Dad sent you here to manipulate me, they didn't. She squeezed my hand. They don't even know I'm here. They're still furious with you. Good. She laughed, surprising both of us. You really have changed. I found my spine. It looks good on you. She paused. Can I meet him, Marcus? I promise I won't be weird. I studied her face, looking for the deception I knew was coming. In my first life, this was when she'd started circling Marcus, playing the vulnerable, heartbroken girl who needed a strong shoulder. But her eyes were clear, honest. Maybe things could be different. Maybe she could be different. Okay, I said, but Claire? If you hurt him, if you even think about coming between us, you're dead to me. Understood? She nodded solemnly. Understood. The dinner was awkward at first. Claire showed up with wine and apologies. Marcus was polite but guarded, and I was ready to throw her out at the first red flag. But as the evening went on, something strange happened. Claire was normal. She asked Marcus about his app with genuine interest. She didn't flirt, didn't play damsel, didn't try to create intimate moments. She talked about her new job. She'd finally gotten one after I stopped supporting her, and actually seemed proud of herself. I'm learning graphic design, she said over dessert. Online courses. It's hard, but I like it. That's great, Marcus said, and he sounded like he meant it. After she left, he pulled me close on the couch. She's not what I expected. What did you expect? Based on your stories? A monster. He kissed my temple. She seems like she's trying. Yeah, I said softly. Maybe she is. I wanted to trust it, but I'd been burned before. So I stayed vigilant. 5 months after we got engaged, Marcus's app launched. He'd named it ConnectSphere, a platform that seamlessly integrated communication across all social media and messaging apps. One inbox, one notification system, customizable privacy controls, and an AI assistant that actually understood context. I'd watched him build it line by line, seen his vision come to life. I knew it was brilliant, but even I wasn't prepared for how fast it took off. Within 2 weeks, they had 50,000 users. Within a month, 5 million. Tech blogs were calling it revolutionary. Investors were circling. And Marcus was getting offers, big offers, from companies that wanted to acquire the technology. Facebook is offering 40 million, he said one night, staring at his laptop in disbelief. Don't take it, he looked at me. That's life-changing money. Google will offer more, trust me. How can you possibly know that? I kissed him. Have I been wrong yet? He laughed, shaking his head. No, you haven't. Then trust me. Wait. He waited. Google's offer came 6 weeks later, $1.2 billion. Marcus called me from his lawyer's office, his voice shaking. You were right. You were exactly right. How did you... I told you, intuition. I grinned even though he couldn't see me. Are you going to take it? I'd be insane not to. Then take it. There was a pause. Then, we're going to be rich. You're going to be rich. I just get to enjoy it. What's mine is yours. You believed in me when no one else did. His voice dropped. I love you. I'm going to marry you, and we're going to have the most insane life together. I'm counting on it. The news hit the tech world like a bomb. The app developer who'd been working out of a one-bedroom apartment was now worth over $500 million after taxes and legal fees. My phone started ringing within hours. First, my mother. Honey, I saw the news about Marcus. That's wonderful. We always knew he had potential. Delete. Then my father. We should celebrate as a family. When can you two come to dinner? Delete. Then Claire. Oh my God, congrats. I'm so happy for you guys. I stared at that one for a long moment. Claire had been genuinely kind over the past few months. We'd had coffee a few times. She'd never asked for money, never tried to manipulate, never mentioned Marcus beyond friendly politeness. But I remembered my first life. I remembered watching her marry him, watching her spend his money while I struggled to pay for my own cancer treatments. I texted back, thanks, let's get lunch this week. Her response was immediate. Yes, my treat this time, I just got a bonus. A bonus from her job that she'd gotten herself. Maybe people could change. Maybe this timeline really was different. Or maybe I was being naive. The wedding planning started immediately. We'd waited long enough, Marcus said. He wanted me to have everything I'd ever dreamed of. I want small, I told him. Just us and people who actually love us. Your family isn't invited. He didn't argue. He'd heard enough of my stories, seen enough of my scars. But Claire heard about it somehow, probably from the mother I'd stopped talking to, and showed up at our new apartment. The penthouse Marcus had bought in cash overlooking the city. You're getting married without telling me? None. Looked hurt. I'm getting married without telling Mom and Dad. I wasn't sure if you'd want to be associated with that. Of course I want to be there. You're my sister. She paused. I know I don't deserve it after everything, but I'd really like to be your bridesmaid. If you'll have me. I looked at her carefully. In my first life, she'd insisted on being maid of honor at her own wedding, had dressed me in that ugly yellow disaster, had made sure I knew my place. Why? I asked, and because I love you, because you're the only person who ever called me on my bullshit. She smiled sadly. Because I'm trying to be better, and having you in my life makes me want to keep trying. If Mom finds out, let her be mad. I'm not her puppet anymore. Claire met my eyes. You taught me that. When you left, when you chose yourself for once, it woke me up. I don't want to be the person who uses people. I want to be someone you're proud to call sister. God, I wanted to believe her. Okay, I said finally. But there are rules. anything. No drama, no guilt trips, no trying to reconcile me with mom and dad. This is my wedding and I want it to be happy. I promise. And if you break that promise you'll cut me off completely, I know. She smiled. I won't, I swear. The wedding was perfect. Small ceremony in a garden. Only 30 guests. Everyone who'd actually supported us. My best friend from college was my maid of honor. Claire was a bridesmaid along with 2 other friends, and she was good. Helpful without being controlling. Present without being overwhelming. Marcus's family was there. Warm, welcoming people who'd accepted me immediately. They'd never understood why my own family had rejected their son, but they'd never pushed me to reconcile. As I walked down the aisle, no father to give me away, because I'd given myself away, I felt nothing but joy. Marcus cried when he saw me. I cried when he read his vows. We both cried when the officiant pronounced us married, and we kissed like we were the only 2 people in the world. At the reception, Claire gave a toast that made me tear up. My sister taught me what real strength looks like, she said, raising her glass. She taught me that loving yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. She chose her own happiness, and in doing so, she showed me how to choose mine. Marcus, you're the luckiest man alive. And sis, I'm so proud of you. I hugged her afterward, and it felt real. Maybe this timeline really was better. 3 months after the wedding, my mother showed up at my office. I was a professor now. Marcus had insisted I pursue my doctorate, had paid for everything, had supported me through the transition. I loved teaching, but I'd always wanted to research and write. Now I could. She was waiting outside my classroom when I finished the lecture. We need to talk, she said. I hadn't seen her in over a year. She looked older, more worn, smaller somehow. I'm busy. Please, just give me 5 minutes. I sighed and led her to my office. Once inside, I didn't invite her to sit. What do you want, Mom? I want to apologize. That was unexpected. Your father and we made mistakes. We didn't see how special Marcus was. We didn't appreciate what you were giving up. She twisted her purse strap. We were wrong. You were. Can you forgive us? I'd imagined this moment countless times. In my first life, I died waiting for an apology that never came. Here, now I had it. But it felt hollow. Why now? I asked. Why not when I needed you to stand up for me? Why not when I was begging you to let me be happy? We thought we were protecting you. You were controlling me. We just wanted what was best. No, I cut her off. You wanted what was easiest. You wanted me to stay small and compliant and useful. You wanted me to sacrifice my happiness for Claire's comfort. That's not... It is, and you know it is. I leaned against my desk. You didn't come here to apologize, Mom. You came here because I married a billionaire, and you want back in my life. You want access to that money and status. She had the decency to look ashamed. I've changed, she said quietly. Maybe you have, but I don't owe you the chance to prove it. I stood up. You made your choice when you kicked me out. You chose Claire over me. You chose your comfort over my happiness. Those are consequences you have to live with. You're my daughter. I was always your daughter. But you only want me now that I'm valuable. I opened my office door and saw, Goodbye, Mom. She left without another word. I didn't cry. I'd cried enough for them in my first life. Marcus found me that evening on our balcony, staring out at the city lights. Claire called, he said, wrapping his arms around me from behind. She said your mom came to see you. Did she tell you what happened? Just that you stood your ground. He kissed my neck. I'm proud of you. She'll tell everyone I'm heartless. Let her. He turned me to face him. You're not heartless. You're just done being hurt. I'm done being their punching bag. Good. He cupped my face in his hands. You deserve to be loved, not used. You deserve to be celebrated, not sacrificed. I kissed him, pouring everything I felt into it. Gratitude, love, relief. I chose right, I whispered against his lips. Yeah, he smiled. You did. Claire kept her promises. She didn't try to reconcile me with our parents. She respected my boundaries. She built her own life, got promoted, started dating a nice guy from her office. We had lunch every few weeks, and it was easy, natural. Like we were finally the sisters we should have been all along. 2 years into my marriage, she invited us to a gallery show. Her graphic design work was being featured alongside other emerging artists. This is incredible, I said, staring at her pieces. They were vibrant and bold, full of life. I finally figured out what I'm good at. She smiled. It only took having my support system ripped away to force me to stand on my own. You're welcome, I teased. She laughed. Seriously, though, thank you for not enabling me anymore, for showing me tough love. You did the work. But you believed I could. She glanced at Marcus, who was studying a particularly striking piece across the room. He's good for you, I can see it. The best thing that ever happened to me. I'm glad you kept him. She paused. I need to tell you something. My guard went up instantly. What? Mom's been calling me, asking me to convince you to reconcile. And I told her to stop, that I'm not her messenger and you made your choice. Claire met my eyes. I told her what she did to you was unforgivable and she needs to respect your boundaries. Relief flooded through me. Thank you. She didn't take it well. She said I was choosing you over her. You don't have to. I am choosing you over her, Claire said firmly. Shara, you're my sister. You've always been there for me, even when I didn't deserve it. She only cares about control. She squeezed my hand. I'm done being her puppet. You showed me how. 5 years into my marriage, Marcus and I had everything. A sprawling house in the hills, successful careers we loved, a circle of real friends who valued us for who we were, not what we had, and each other. We'd started a foundation together, funding scholarships for students from controlling families who wanted to pursue their dreams. We'd helped hundreds of young people escape situations like mine, given them the support to choose themselves. It was healing, in a way, turning my pain into purpose. Claire had gotten married the year before, a simple ceremony, nothing like the extravagant display from my first timeline. I'd been her maid of honor, wearing a dress I actually liked, in a wedding that celebrated love instead of status. My parents hadn't been invited to that one either. I'd heard through extended family that they blamed me for turning Claire against them, that I was vindictive, cruel, heartless. I didn't care anymore. I was happy, genuinely, completely happy. And then, 5 years to the day after Marcus sold his app, we got invited to the Google Innovation Gala. It was a massive event, tech industry royalty, celebrities, investors. The kind of party that appeared in magazines. Marcus had been asked to speak on a panel about entrepreneurship. I wore a stunning emerald gown. Marcus wore a tux that made him look like James Bond, and we arrived in a car that cost more than my childhood home. The ballroom was incredible. Crystal chandeliers, champagne fountains, more wealth in one room than most people saw in a lifetime. And standing near the bar, looking uncomfortable and out of place, were my parents. I froze. Marcus noticed immediately. You okay? They're here. He followed my gaze and his jaw tightened. Want to leave? No, I lifted my chin. His son, this is your night. I'm not running. I want to stay. I squeezed his hand. I want them to see exactly what they gave up. He studied my face, then nodded. Okay, but if you change your mind, I won't. We walked further into the party, and I felt my mother's eyes on me like a physical touch. I didn't acknowledge them, didn't even glance in their direction. Instead, I laughed with CEOs, chatted with investors, stood beside Marcus while he networked with people who could change industries with a phone call. I belonged here. They didn't. Finally, after an hour of pretending they didn't exist, my father approached. You look well, he said stiffly. I am well. We were surprised to see you here. Marcus is on the speaker panel. Didn't you read the event program? He shifted uncomfortably. We came as guests of an investor friend. How nice. My mother joined him, looking at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Your dress is beautiful. Thank you. An awkward silence fell. How have you been? My mother asked. Wonderful. I defended my dissertation last month. Dr. Harper now. I smiled. And Marcus just launched his second app. Early projections suggest it'll be even bigger than the first. That's wonderful. It is. I looked between them. Was there something you needed, or did you just want to make small talk? My father's face reddened. We're still your parents. Biologically, yes. Don't be cruel. I'm not being cruel. I'm being honest. I kept my voice level, calm. You made your choice 5 years ago. You decided I wasn't worth fighting for. Those are consequences. We've apologized. Once. After it became clear that I'd married someone successful, I tilted my head. Do you know how many times I needed you before that? How many times I begged for your support? They said nothing. You forced me to choose between the man I loved and your approval. And when I chose him, you disowned me. I smiled without warmth. So enjoy the party. Enjoy seeing what your daughter accomplished without you. But don't expect a relationship you haven't earned. I walked away before they could respond. Marcus was waiting nearby, 2 glasses of champagne in hand. You okay? Perfect. I took the champagne and clinked my glass against his. Absolutely perfect. The panel was incredible. Marcus spoke about taking risks, about believing in yourself when everyone else thinks you're crazy, about finding partners who elevate you instead of diminishing you. He looked at me during that last part, and the whole room noticed. Afterward, people swarmed him. Investors wanting his time, entrepreneurs wanting his advice, media wanting interviews, and through it all, he kept me at his side. This is my wife, he'd say, introducing me with pride. She's the reason for everything. She believed in me when I had nothing but code and dreams. I watched my parents from across the room, watched them realize what they'd lost, who they'd thrown away. My mother was crying silently. My father looked like he'd aged a decade. Good. Let them hurt. Let them regret. I'd spent my first life dying for their approval. This life I was living for my own happiness. We left the gala early, exhausted but exhilarated. In the car ride home, Marcus pulled me close. Thank you, he said. For what? For choosing me? For believing in me? For being brave enough to fight for us? You made it easy. Did I? He laughed. I was a broke developer with a crazy idea and a Honda Civic. You were brilliant and ambitious and kind. You saw me as a partner, not a servant. I kissed him softly. Choosing you was the easiest decision I ever made. Even knowing what you'd lose? I didn't lose anything worth keeping. He was quiet for a moment. Do you ever regret it? Cutting them off? Not even for a second. I rested my head on his shoulder. I have you. I have Claire, the version of her that grew into someone real. I have a career I love and a life I'm proud of. What could I possibly regret? They looked pretty miserable tonight. They made their choices. I made mine. I smiled. We're all living with the consequences. 8 years into my marriage, Claire called me crying. Not the manipulative crying from before, real broken sobs. Mom had a stroke, she said. She's in the hospital. My first instinct was cold satisfaction, then guilt for feeling satisfied, then anger at feeling guilty. Is she going to be okay? I asked. They don't know yet. It was pretty bad. Claire hiccuped. Dad's asking for you. I'm sure he is. Please, I know you don't owe them anything, but what? Their family? I laughed bitterly. They stopped being my family when they kicked me out. I know, and I'm not asking you to forgive them. I'm just asking you to think about whether you'll regret it if you don't say goodbye. I hung up and stared at my phone for a long time. Marcus found me in the study. What's wrong? I told him about the call. What do you want to do? He asked. I don't know. I ran my hands through my hair. In my head, I know I don't owe them anything. They were terrible parents. They chose status over my happiness. They tried to control my entire life. But some stupid part of me still remembers being 5 years old and thinking they were perfect. Still remembers believing they loved me unconditionally. He pulled me into his arms. You're allowed to grieve the parents you wish you had while still maintaining boundaries with the ones you actually have. I don't want to regret this. Then go. Say what you need to say. Get closure. He kissed my forehead. I'll come with you. The hospital room was depressing. Sterile white walls, beeping machines, the smell of antiseptic. My mother looked small in the bed, half her face, drooping, eyes closed. My father sat beside her, looking haggard and old. He stood when we entered. You came. I came to make sure I won't regret not coming, I said bluntly. Don't read more into it than that. He nodded, looking at Marcus with something like respect. Thank you for bringing her. I didn't bring her. She made her own choice. Marcus took my hand. I just drove. We stood in awkward silence for a moment. The doctors say she might not wake up, my father said quietly. Or if she does, there could be significant brain damage. I'm sorry, I said, and meant it. I didn't wish pain on anyone, even them. I know we failed you. His voice cracked. I've known it for years. I was just too proud to admit it. You chose pride over your daughter. I know. He looked at me with watery eyes. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We were wrong about Marcus. We were wrong about everything. You were wrong about me, I corrected. You saw me as a tool to fix your problems, not as a person with my own dreams and needs. You're right. I know I am. I looked at my mother, remembering all the times she'd chosen Claire over me, all the times she'd dismissed my feelings, all the times she demanded I sacrifice myself. I hope she wakes up. I hope she gets another chance, but I'm not going to pretend we have a relationship we don't. Can we start over? My father asked desperately. No, I said it gently but firmly. You can't unbreak something this badly. You can't demand I give up the love of my life and then expect forgiveness because he turned out to be successful. That's not how this works. But I don't hate you, I interrupted. I don't wish you ill, but I also don't want you in my life. You had decades to choose me. You chose wrong every time. I turned to leave, then paused. If she wakes up, tell her I hope she recovers. Tell her I've built a good life without her approval. Tell her I'm happy. Will you come back if she asks for you? I considered it, then shook my head. No, I've said what I needed to say. Goodbye, Dad. Marcus and I walked out together, leaving the ghosts of my past behind. My mother survived. She had significant impairments, speech difficulties, partial paralysis, memory issues. Claire kept me updated but respected my boundaries about not visiting. Dad's different now, she said during one of our lunches. Softer. The stroke scared him. Good. He asks about you sometimes. You don't have to update me. I know. She smiled sadly. Vanessa, I just thought you'd want to know they finally see what they lost. I stopped caring about what they see, I said honestly. I care about what I have. And what I had was incredible. Marcus had launched 2 more successful apps, sold one, kept one. We'd started angel investing in other startups, particularly ones led by women and minorities who faced the same dismissal Marcus once had. We'd bought a vineyard in Napa, a ridiculous indulgence that we both loved. We traveled constantly, Paris, Tokyo, Barcelona, places I'd only dreamed of in my first life. We'd talked about kids, decided we were happy as we were. Maybe we'd adopt someday, give a child the unconditional love we'd both craved. But for now, we were living for ourselves. And it was beautiful. 10 years after I'd walked out of my family home, Claire invited us to her gallery opening. She'd become successful in her own right. Her design firm had landed major contracts. Her art was selling for impressive prices. She'd built a life she was proud of without relying on anyone else's money or connections. I learned from the best, she said, hugging me at the opening. You showed me how to stand on my own. You did the work. But you showed me it was possible. She glanced across the room where her husband was chatting with investors. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave you every reason to. You changed, I said simply. You became someone worth keeping. High praise from you? She smiled. Mom would have hated this show, you know. Too bold, too controversial. Good thing she's not here then. Dad wanted to come. I didn't invite him. I raised my eyebrows. Really? Really? She squeezed my hand. You're my family. Marcus is my family. The people who love me without conditions, who support my actual dreams instead of their image of what I should be, that's family. DNA doesn't entitle anyone to access. When did you get so wise? I had a good teacher. That night, back at home, I stood on our balcony watching the city lights. Marcus joined me, wrapping a blanket around my shoulders. Penny for your thoughts? I'm just thinking about how different things are. Different how? I couldn't tell him about my first life, about dying alone while they celebrated, about watching him marry my sister, about wasting years being their doormat. But I could tell him this. 10 years ago, my family tried to make me give you up. They told me you'd never amount to anything, that I was throwing my life away. I turned to face him. They wanted me to sacrifice my happiness for someone else's comfort. And you said no. I said no. I smiled. Best decision I ever made. Even though it cost you your family? It cost me people who never really loved me. It gained me a partner who sees me as an equal, a sister who finally grew up, and a life I actually want to live. I kissed him softly. I'd make the same choice 1,000 times over. I love you, he said, pulling me close. I love you too. We stood there in comfortable silence, and I thought about the girl I'd been in my first life. The one who'd said yes to everything, who'd broken her own heart to please others, who'd died without ever really living. She'd given me a gift, that girl. She'd shown me exactly what not to do, and I'd lived the life she never got to have. 15 years after the breakup that never happened, Marcus and I hosted a charity gala for our foundation. 500 guests, all dressed to the nines, all celebrating young people who'd escaped controlling families to pursue their dreams. We'd funded over 2,000 scholarships, helped countless people find their freedom. Each scholarship recipient was a version of me that got saved earlier. Claire was there with her husband and their new baby, my nephew, who I spoiled shamelessly. She'd named him Marcus Jr., which had made my husband cry. Thank you, I'd said when she told me. For what? For being the sister I needed. Back at you. During the gala, I gave a speech about second chances and choosing yourself, about the importance of surrounding yourself with people who elevate you instead of using you. I didn't mention my parents by name, but everyone who knew our story understood. Afterward, a young woman approached me, maybe 22, with nervous eyes and a determined set to her jaw. Ms. Harper, she said, I just wanted to thank you. Your scholarship got me out. My family wanted me to marry someone they chose to give up my engineering degree. Your foundation made it possible for me to say no. You made it possible, I corrected. You were brave enough to choose yourself. You showed me how. I hugged her, this stranger who was so much like I'd been. Go live the life you want. Don't let anyone make you small. I won't. She smiled. I promise. That night, exhausted but happy, Marcus and I collapsed in bed. We're making a difference, Bisa, he said. We are. Do you think they know? Your parents? Do you think they see what you've become? I don't care if they do. Really? Really. I turned to look at him. I used to think I needed them to regret what they did, to suffer for how they treated me. But somewhere along the way, I stopped caring about revenge. What do you care about? This. Us. The life we've built. The people we've helped. I smiled. I care about being happy, not about making them miserable. That's very mature of you. I'm very mature. He laughed, pulling me close. You're very perfect. I'm very in love with you. Good. Because you're stuck with me. Promise? Promise. 20 years after the forced breakup that never happened, I got a letter. My father had died, heart attack, sudden, probably stress-related. My mother had declined further in a nursing home. Claire had handled everything. The letter was from him, written months earlier, apparently. Claire had been instructed to send it when he passed. I almost threw it away unread. Marcus saw me holding it. Do you want me to read it first? No, I'll read it. I opened the envelope carefully. I just don't know what he could possibly say that matters now. The letter was short. Dear daughter, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. That's probably easier for both of us. I know you don't want my apologies. You've made that clear, and I respect it. You were right. I chose wrong. Every time you needed me, I chose your mother's anxiety over your happiness. I chose Claire's comfort over your dreams. I chose maintaining control over giving you freedom. I can't undo any of that. I can't give you back the years we lost. I can't make up for forcing you to choose between love and family. But I want you to know something. Watching you build the life you built, seeing you thrive without us, it's been the proudest and most painful experience of my life. You became everything I was too afraid to let you be. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I see you now. I see how extraordinary you are. I see that we failed you, and you succeeded anyway. Your mother asked me to tell you she's sorry. She probably won't remember by the time you read this. The disease has taken so much of her mind. But in her lucid moments, she cries about you, about what we did. Again, I don't say this for sympathy, just for truth. Live your beautiful life. Love your wonderful husband. Help those kids escape families like us. You're doing important work. I'm proud of you. I should have said it 20 years ago, but I'm saying it now. I'm sorry I wasn't the father you deserved. With love and regret, Dad, I read it twice, then set it down. You okay? Marcus asked. Yeah, I wiped my eyes. Yeah, I am. What did it say? That he was proud of me. That he was sorry. That I was right to walk away. Do you feel better? I thought about it. I feel complete. Like I can finally close that chapter. Are you going to the funeral? No. I folded the letter carefully. I said my goodbye 10 years ago. This doesn't change anything. Okay. But I think I'll donate in his name to the foundation. One scholarship for a kid whose father tries to control them. Marcus smiled. That's perfect. He wanted me to know he saw me, that he regretted his choices. I leaned against my husband. I'm glad he said it, but I didn't need to hear it to be whole. No, Marcus agreed, you didn't. 25 years after the forced breakup that never happened, Marcus and I renewed our vows. On a beach in Greece, surrounded by the family we'd chosen, friends who'd become siblings, scholarship recipients who'd become like children, Claire and her growing family. No parents, no obligation, no guilt. Just love. 25 years ago, Marcus said in his vows, you chose me when everyone said you shouldn't. You saw value in me when I had nothing but dreams. You believed in us when it would have been easier to give in. He took my hands. You taught me that love isn't about what you can get from someone. It's about what you can build together. And we've built something extraordinary. I was crying openly now. I promise to spend the rest of my life making you as happy as you've made me. I promise to choose you every day the way you chose me all those years ago. I promise to be your partner, your equal, your biggest supporter. I promise to never make you small, I said through tears, to never ask you to be less than you are, to celebrate your successes and support you through failures. I promise to see you, really see you, every single day. We kissed as the sun set over the Mediterranean, and somewhere in another timeline, another version of me was dying alone at her sister's wedding. But not this me. This me was living. 30 years after the forced breakup that never happened, I gave a TEDx talk. They forced me to choose, I said to the audience, between the man I loved and the family I was born into, between my happiness and their approval, between being myself and being who they needed me to be. I paused, looking out at thousands of faces. I chose myself, and it was the hardest and best decision of my life. I talked about the cost of that choice, the loneliness, the grief, the fear that I'd made a terrible mistake. I talked about the strength it took to maintain boundaries when everyone called me selfish. But here's what I learned. People who truly love you don't force you to choose. They don't make you smaller to make themselves comfortable. They don't demand you sacrifice your dreams for their convenience. I saw people nodding, crying, recognizing themselves in my story. And if they do, you choose yourself, every single time. I talked about the foundation, about the thousands of young people we'd helped escape controlling families, about building a life of purpose from the ashes of family rejection. The family you're born into doesn't define you. The choices you make do. The people you surround yourself with do. The life you build for yourself does. I smiled at the audience. They tried to force me into a box. I chose to be free instead. And that choice changed everything. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. Afterward, hundreds of people came up to me with their own stories, their own forced choices, their own journeys to freedom. You gave me permission to choose myself, a woman in her 40s said, tears streaming down her face. You already had that permission, I told her. You just needed to give it to yourself. 35 years after the forced breakup that never happened, I published a book. Choosing Yourself, Breaking Free from Family Control. It became a bestseller within weeks. Millions of people saw themselves in my story, found courage in my choices. I went on a book tour, told my story hundreds of times, heard thousands of others share theirs, and every night I came home to Marcus, still brilliant, still kind, still looking at me like I hung the moon. We did good, he said one night, reading reviews of the book together. We did great. Think younger you would believe this? If someone had told her that choosing me would lead to all this? I thought about that scared girl, 23 years old, staring at the text from her mother, the bêtise, one who'd almost given in to the pressure. I think she'd be terrified, I said honestly, but I think she'd be brave anyway. Like you were. Like I was. 40 years after the forced breakup that never happened, Claire and I sat on my porch, drinking wine and watching the sunset. She was 65 now, still vibrant, still creating art. Her kids were grown with children of their own. She'd built a legacy she was proud of. Do you ever think about what would have happened? She asked. If you'd actually broken up with Marcus that day? Sometimes. What do you think? I couldn't tell her I'd lived that timeline, that I'd watched her marry him, watched myself die alone, watched everyone waste their potential on petty cruelty. I think I would have been miserable, I said instead. I think I would have spent my whole life wondering what if. I think I would have destroyed him, Claire said quietly. I looked at her in surprise. I was so broken back then, she continued, so desperate to be saved instead of saving myself. If you'd given him to me like Mom wanted, I would have clung to him out of need, not love. I would have resented him for not fixing me. We would have been toxic. You've thought about this. A lot, actually. She smiled sadly. Mom tried to make me the princess and you the servant. She didn't realize she was crippling me and strengthening you. You found your strength eventually. Because you showed me I needed it. When you chose yourself, you gave me permission to do the same. I wasn't trying to teach you anything. I was just trying to survive. I know, that's what made it powerful. She clinked her glass against mine. Thank you for being selfish. It saved both of us. 50 years after the forced breakup that never happened, Marcus and I celebrated our golden anniversary. We were both 73 now. His hair was white, mine was gray, but we still held hands like newlyweds. We still made each other laugh. We still chose each other every day. Our foundation had helped over 100,000 young people. We'd changed lives, changed families, changed futures. Claire threw us a party, a massive celebration with everyone who'd been touched by our story. Former scholarship recipients, now successful in their own right, came from around the world. You two are our North Star, one woman said, now a renowned surgeon. You showed us that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. You showed us that family is chosen, not given, said a man who'd become a celebrated author. You taught us that love is supposed to elevate, not diminish, said a young woman who'd just started her own foundation. Marcus gave a speech that made everyone cry. 50 years ago, a woman chose me when everyone told her not to. She risked everything, her family, her security, her comfort, because she believed in us. He looked at me with eyes still full of love. I've spent every day since trying to be worthy of that choice. You've been worthy from day one, I said, taking his hand. We built something bigger than ourselves, something that will outlast us. He smiled at the crowd. Every person in this room is part of that legacy. You're all proof that choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's revolutionary. The applause was thunderous. That night, alone in our room, Marcus held me close. Any regrets? He asked. Not a single one. Not even your parents? Especially not them. I kissed him softly. They wanted to make me small. You encouraged me to be infinite. That's not even a choice. I love you. I love you too. For 50 more years? I smiled. For however long we get. On my 80th birthday, surrounded by the family I'd chosen and the life I'd built, I thought about my first timeline. I'd died at 28 in that life, bitter and alone. In this life, I'd lived, really lived. I'd loved and been loved. I'd built something meaningful. I'd helped thousands escape the prison I'd escaped from. I'd shown people that choosing yourself wasn't selfish, it was sacred. And it all started with one decision. One moment of choosing my happiness over their approval. One act of rebellion that changed everything. They'd forced me to break up with him for her sake. Instead, I'd chosen him for mine. And he became a billionaire and came back. But more importantly, I became free, and that was worth more than any amount of money. That night, as Marcus slept beside me and the moon shone through our window, I whispered a thank you to the girl I'd been. The one who'd been brave enough to say no. The one who'd chosen love over fear. The one who'd saved both of us. We did it, I whispered to her ghost. We got our happy ending. And somewhere in the universe, across timelines and possibilities, I like to think she heard me and smiled.